Hello there, I'm Kevin, aka Toying Around.
I'm Yoko, also known as Live and La Vida Yoko.
Hey, I'm Paulie from Bitter Asian Dude Inc.
I'm Ernie, also known as the one and only Fallen Fett.
We're four friends chatting about our love for Star Wars, toy collecting, and pop culture. You're listening to the Boba Squadron podcast. Boba Squadron Ep002. We still don't have a title, but I want to thank everyone for listening. I think it's weird. We didn't even go into the origin story of how we got the Boba Squadron name for this podcast. Completely forgot to do that for episode 1, so I figured we should let people know here in episode 2. The four of us, I don't know why I'm pointing right now, this is audio, but we got together to do a recap show for the book of Boba Fett. And the theme of that, the name of the show was the Book of Boba Tea, and all four of us would order boba as a drink, and we would just hang out and chill. And I think that was the origin, the Boba Squadron. I don't want any misconceptions out there that we're all fans of Boba Fett. I think only Ernie is. Ernie, would you say that's fair?
It's not fair, but I would say that's a true statement. Yeah, I would say it's true, but it's not fair. I mean, I look at Boba Squadron a whole different way, but if that's how you want to call it, that's fine.
Yeah, but you look at it a different way because you're on probation.
Yes,
this is probationary prospect. You're on probation to be a prospect, and then if you make it to that, then you're a prospect.
Yeah,
and then you cut.
Yeah, and then, I was always. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm on probation. You always have the floor.
You know I'm joking, right? I'm joking.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you though, sir?
Yeah. Okay. You're never gonna make it onto the team. We're just stringing you along. Come on.
See?
You gotta know that.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Kenobi's gonna start. I'm gonna be like, anytime they're gonna message me now. We should do a show. Yeah.
Here's the link.
Why? It has nothing to do with Boba. Yes.
It's all about the drink. I mean, I was always of the impression that original trilogy movie, if you're only counting Boba Fett's appearance on screen, I didn't think he was the world's or the galaxy's most feared bounty hunter. Everyone said he looks cool, but I don't think he was that big of a badass. And then when Paul came on for the first episode of Unboxing Thursdays that he did with me, I asked him that question, and I was thrilled. You know, I was arms pumping in the air that he also believed the same thing. Wow. And then when we got together with Yoko to talk about Bad Batch, and then I found one of Yoko's old tweets where it was kind of talking down on Boba Fett as well. It was the perfect team up, and that's how the squadron is born. And then Ernie, who is a huge Boba Fett fan, I've spent months talking to Ernie about Boba Fett and how he's not so great, and it was only fair for him to join. But yeah, for all the Boba Fett fans out there, I'm sorry if we led you on, but this is not that kind of Boba podcast.
Everybody's passing this around at the Mandalorian Mercs, like, hey, there's a new Boba show. You guys really check this out. Have you heard it? Yeah. And then it immediately opens. Yeah, it immediately opens with Boba sucks.
It's in our logo. There is no Mandalorian or Boba Fett reference in our logo, created by the talented and awesome Dork Knight 46. But hey, episode 2, we're here. I want to thank everyone who listened to episode 1 and supported and shared and followed. There were some hiccups, some bumps along the way trying to get Apple to work, and that's why I'm an Android man for the last I don't know how many years. But we're here.
You're an Android man?
Yes, I am an Android.
Wow. You learn something new every day.
And Paul's just an alien playing him as a marionette behind that curtain.
I switched the view. It's actually much more comfortable back here. Instead of with my back to that other wall. It's a little bit cozier. It's nice. The backdrop makes it feels a little bit more comfortable for me. For those of you who can't see, if you're listening to the podcast, my backdrop used to be the boring back of the hotel room that I'm staying in, with this gigantic, like the bottom 10th of this gigantic framed picture that I can't move because it's got like 6 French cleats on it. And so like it was just really weird. But now I've switched the cameras around, and it's facing this curtain, which is basically the curtain of the dining room. And the last, I think, stream I did with Kevin, everyone was like, "What's behind the curtain? He's hiding something. He's hiding something." I was like, "No, it's just the curtain to the outdoors." And I opened it up, and I guess everybody thought there'd be some gigantic alien with his arm firmly planted up my ass, meat puppet. But it wasn't. It was just the Vancouver landscape. So here it is. But this is like when you do an audition and you put yourself on tape. A lot of actors will have like a backdrop or something that's supposed to be neutral, and that's pretty much what this is. Now, this is a little bit too wavy in terms of the lines. Usually it's a nice flat surface, gray surface. Think your high school portraits or in middle school when they had that backdrop behind you. And you have to put your hands on your knee and turn slightly. They made you tilt your head and do that crazy ass smile, which I don't know, man. I think it was just photographers were bored. But that's kind of backdrop that I'm talking about that we usually have, which I don't have, which you can't see. So moving on.
Speaking of the first episode, no aliens.
No aliens.
No aliens.
Unfortunately. Yeah. I was hoping
that named from.
So. I was hoping that when you opened it, like you were going to be on set or something, and then totally lying to us all. Like, oh, look at here's the secret.
I've been live streaming from this bit of Avatar.
Hiding behind the curtain.
Yeah. But speaking of the first episode, right, Kev? I mean, they can see this live after because you just have reposted the live version on your channel, correct?
Yes, for everyone tuning back in, thank you. The audio episodes will be on Apple, Spotify, Google, SoundCloud every Monday. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, in your YouTube channel member, it's available there for the first few days. And then it's made available to the general public. So thank you so much to everyone who's been tuning in. There's a new Instagram page for the podcast where you can keep up with all the updates and a link tree. So if any of the links don't work, feel free to click on those or even give us some feedback on each episode, because a lot of this stuff, the pop culture movies, it's great to hear back from everyone who maybe hasn't even seen Jaws yet. So, reach out to us over there. Off the Star Wars news.
Go for it. What happened in Star Wars, Kev? What?
Oh, I like that setup.
You're so excited. You're so excited about Star Wars, you can't even get it right because it's your main character. But yet you'll crap all over the Fett. But when it comes to Kenobi, you can't even talk right. Oh my God, there's 2 weeks ago. Star Wars, 2 weeks. I can't even say
stretching here, Ernie. You're really stretching.
Really is. And then all of a sudden, Kenobi trailer dropped. Oh my God. It really was.
It was a great trailer. And there's a lot of stuff that can happen in this series. For me, like you mentioned, Ernie, Kenobi is my favorite character, and I shared this with Paul before our Kenobi stream, how I was worried would this show live up to my expectations because it's my favorite character. I don't want it to kind of not be so great like the Book of Boba Fett was for Boba Fett fans, because everyone was waiting for the redemption and he's going to be a badass because he wasn't cool before. And that's when it clicked to me, like, I won't have that same problem because Kenobi is a badass to begin with. So there was no expectation that he needs to live up to. Whereas the Boba Fett fans had a lot more to lose. So
yeah, you're absolutely right, because of screen time and the knowledge that we didn't have of Fett. Like, you're right. Instead, Kenobi's already been established. We know what he did. He was hiding out there. Then you get the prequels, and you get this whole building story from him, with his master Qui-Gon to becoming that, to then with Anakin. Then you get the Clone Wars. Like, you're right. You do have this. Kenobi's a badass, and then he's in Rebels. So you do have a lot to build on. So now it's just the whole, what was he doing on Tatooine that has to get filled in? So there was many different ways that they could have taken it. And as far as Boba goes, then we didn't know. Everybody had their own story in their head, their own expectation. I still am going to stand by it, though. I liked Book of Boba Fett. I think it's going to be a very important series to tie everything together. And Kenobi's going to be a great show. That's just there. You can rewatch it like that. So whereas I think we may return to the Book of Boba as, well, remember this happened or this point was made. And here we just get to see Kenobi being a badass, which I'm all for. That's great. Like I like the decision that they went, because then this trailer happens and now we get all these rumors, right? Which nobody had rumors before or anything like that. And now the big rumor for the week was, oh, well, it was supposed to be Maul in it, and they cut Maul and they put in the Inquisitors. Like they were all ready to go that the story was going to be Obi-Wan and Maul. So
I didn't hear that. Did you guys hear that?
And then what? They watched Rebels and realized that story's been told?
No,
Is it,
are you
he
serious?
did.
Oh no, that was big time. And then you had Pablo Hidalgo go on Twitter and kind of be like, "That never happened."
Yeah,
like he was trying to shut it
sounds
down.
like fan theories, especially fan theories from people who again did not watch Rebels. And if you did not watch Rebels, go watch Rebels.
Correct. I mean, we may get him in like a flashback scene or whatever. So the only way that I take this to heart is not like it could have happened, but as a casting thing. Because okay, so he's very vocal on Instagram and everything like that, and when there's always something that he's going to be involved in,
Wait. Who is he? Who are you?
Ray
talking
Park.
about?
Sorry,
Okay.
Ray Park, the physical actor who plays Darth Maul. He really puts a lot of stuff out there on Instagram and like that, and Sith everything, Sith this, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're getting something Maul, right? Kind of leaks it that way. And then all of a sudden there was one time where, oh my God, it broke my heart. He did this post where he tore into those exclusives from Celebration of the Kenobi and the Maul. He had a whole bunch on reserve. There was probably like 30 in the picture that he was just ripping the cards and throwing them on the floor and ripping them up. And that's what he posted and left. And it was like, what's going on? Bad day or something? You know what I mean? And this was months ago that maybe it was like, I know we said maybe we're thinking about bringing Maul into Kenobi and we're going a different direction, but thanks. Because then since then he was cut off from Instagram, and now he's only been posting up his autograph meetups at little cons and like that. So I don't know. Was it a real theory? Was it, could it have been? Because like timeline kind of plays with it. But cool. with that, like you're saying, with Rebels and everything, I could only see if we got Maul in some type of flashback way. And I really hope we don't get any flashbacks. I really hope this just stays the Inquisitor story, and that's what we're getting. Because then the flashbacks that we had in Boba that didn't work as well, could that be, as you said, your early thoughts of what's going to happen with Kenobi after Boba? So with the flashbacks that we had, that some people didn't like the flashbacks, or they were out of place, or they should have did this, they should have did that. Everybody always has an opinion about it. But I think this show, I don't think we should get flashbacks. I think we should get the series. What happened? What's this Inquisitor story that we're going to see play out?
Wasn't there something else with Ray Park though? And could that be a reason why he's not involved with the show?
Oh,
there was an incident.
Yeah, there was a
not Disney friendly incident.
Correct. Yeah, and that was before this one, and then after that incident. So
yeah.
Can someone fill me in?
No,
don't
not
Google
for
it.
here. Yeah.
Oh, is this? Are we doing a segment every week where we get the listeners to Google something? Last week,
no, don't Google it.
No, yeah,
Do not Google it.
Okay,
don't Google it. Okay, so this is going to be edited out. All right.
Let's say this: if you're anybody in the public eye, and you do put your life out there, and something may be going on, and you get upset because of your personal life, and it slips out there, or different stuff is shown, it's kind of something that you would want to keep private and not put out there on the internet for everybody to see. Whether you got hacked or you just got upset or whatever it may be, there is a lot of stress on a person whose life is out there for being someone in the spotlight or being like that things do happen. I mean, everybody, just because they play somebody on a movie, or he portrays all these different positions in lots of stuff that we know and we geek out in fandom about, it's very hard for people to realize you're actually a real person and you have problems too.
Yeah, Kevin.
So
He's
You're
trying to
Googling
Google.
it right now.
He's
I guess
Googling it.
he's not
No.
even listening to you, Ernie.
Yeah.
I know
Not
he's
even
not, but
listening to
I'm
you.
trying to play it out for the listeners at home. It was a very private
Yeah.
moment, a private situation, and that would upset anybody, and I can get that.
Yeah.
So, you
I thought we
know,
were cutting this part out. That's why.
oh
Went to
no,
Google.
I was.
See,
I don't
If
think
we're
we
going,
need
we're
to.
going.
probate. He's filibustering to cover for you, and you're like, "Oh, I thought we were cutting this out." Sorry, Ernie. Nice tap dancing. No one's ever going to
Thanks.
hear it. So anyway,
Thanks.
No, I thought
Thanks.
the Googling
Blueberry.
part.
Oh no, I
The
don't think we
Googling.
need to cover it up. I mean, it happened. It's out there. You know.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
saying don't Google it because it's NSFW.
Oh, okay. Got it. I will Google.
It's for your
on my
science
own.
folder, Kev.
No, I don't want to watch that. Ray
It's
Park.
research. I mean, certainly the timing does it plays out from what you're saying about Ray Park, and this is
Yeah.
sheer speculation on my part. But I mean, the story that I read
Correct.
as well from Variety or one of the main sort of news sources was, ObiWan Kenobi had a different writer attached to it in the beginning, and they had a different set of stories. And then at a certain point, Kathleen Kennedy, they called a halt to it. And they said, we're going on a hiatus. You need to rewrite these scripts. And that's when all the speculation started happening. Ooh, there's trouble and this and that. They didn't like the scripts and whatever. And the spin on it that I've read and I've heard, and I don't know the full story, like who does, except for those involved. But from what Deb was saying in public was, she took the scripts to Filoni and to Favreau. And their big note was, make it bigger. It's got to be bigger. Make it more grand. You're thinking too small. And so that's when they reworked the entire series, and they made it grand. So originally, Darth Maul was supposed to play a larger role in that first round of scripts, and Ray Park was training again. The Solo had just premiered, and he was in that Easter egg at the end, and he was going to be a major player in Solo 2, but Solo didn't do very well in the box office, and they decided not to make a sequel to it. And so all those things conspiring together made Darth Maul's character not a good fit in that original iteration of Obi-Wan. And so when they rewrote it, and that's why they bring in Anakin, and so I'm saying Anakin instead of Darth Vader, they're bringing in Anakin. There will be flashbacks. I hate to tell everybody this, but we're going to be on Tatooine, and there's going to be some flashbacks with Kenobi. You can't help it, but they're going to be flashing back to the Clone Wars and whatnot. But this, as from what I'm able to gather in the newspapers, the trade papers, when they decided to go bigger and epic in scope, they got rid of the Maul character, that part, and that's when they brought in the Inquisitors and Darth Vader, and so they really went big with it. And if what you're saying is true, I don't follow Ray Park's account, but if the timing, as a performer, if you're getting, I mean, he's older now too. And so, and he's had injury problems, and he's had self-image problems as well. He's had fans go, "Oh, you're old, you're fat, you can't do this anymore." He's a proud guy, right?
Yeah.
And if you're
horrible.
gearing up for what you believe is going to be a triumphant return for a character that you really feel passionate about, and suddenly you're cut from it, and you are powerless to do anything about it. Is him venting his frustration of taking these Obi-Wan things and ripping them up? Looks like it. The optics don't look good on his part. But it's like what you say too, like when you are in the public eye, and I can speak to this a little bit, when people are looking at you and they're going through your social accounts, or like just combing through everything for any kind of a hint of what you're doing or what your life is like or this or that, the temptation, if you're upset, can be there to vent and kind of go, you know what, I just got screwed, and I want to let everybody know I got screwed. But the problem with that is it's bad for business for everyone involved. Nobody ever wins if you start dragging everybody through the mud and you start venting or this or that. When Kim's Convenience ended, I was hurt. I was angry. I was devastated. But the last thing I wanted to do was drag the show through the mud. And so I had to exercise an incredible amount of restraint because I love the show too. That's why you're so upset about it. You love it. And you can tell Ray Park loves Star Wars. He loved being Darth Maul.
Yes.
And so different people, different pressures, different way of reacting. He unfortunately if whether he got hacked or he chose to respond in that way and leave it at such. Social media just takes a gigantic microscope and a magnifying glass to everything, and you have to be super careful. So that's why for me, on all my socials, I'm super careful with what I post, and I try to just try to keep it as positive as possible. I pump my friends, I pump things that I like, things that bring me joy, and I just try to focus on that. And just, you can't sink down and get dirty and like, but I understand the impulse to do so, because when you're pissed and you have a platform and you have people looking at you and going, oh, you feel like, oh, I want to use this to just sort of let everybody know how unfairly treated I feel I've been, right? And so I can totally see that. And a lot of it too is when you feel powerless, you try to find a voice for yourself, and I think that's what he tried to do. He's trying to find a voice for himself to show how frustrated he is. And then I think he had to get reeled back from that, because at the end of the day, you feel good for maybe 5 seconds. And then the repercussions and the consequences of whatever actions you decide, especially if you want to make it public, come to light. So, that's the unfortunate part of this business too. And that's why I always you never take things for granted in this business. What you do and stuff, you always try to stay in the moment. And I never try to look too far ahead of things, because it is a business and things change sometimes, and it's all out of your control a lot of times. So it's that whole idea of just sort of trying to stay in that moment and try not to look too far ahead of things. But I understand how bitterly disappointed he must have been if he was supposed to be in that original draft and suddenly he was cut and he was told for whatever reason. Like, that's got to be heartbreaking. So
absolutely. I asked if he was okay. Like, I wrote on there and I'm like, hey, everything's cool. And then I also wrote, do you have any extras of those? Because I never got them.
Because instead of destroying them, why don't you give them to people?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I never got those.
It does make me feel bad for him too, because I feel like he must not to me it feels like he doesn't have a solid group of people around him to be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. Because I've totally, not at the same level, but I've been there too, where I've wanted to go on social and say some things at a couple points in my life. Oh my gosh. But I know it wouldn't be worth it in the long run. And it's just having the people around you to remind you of, like, what is that really going to accomplish if you do that, right?
And then the time later, nobody's ever going to understand, ever. Like Paul said with the microscope, nobody's ever going to understand that was a bad time in my life.
Yeah.
I was going.
You're
going to
end up looking like the idiot, in the long run.
Correct. Yeah. They don't even want to hear that. Even if they just like had a 2-year relationship with you or whatever, that's the Yoko they know now. And you're like, man, you don't even know what happened 5 years ago. Like, that was insane. Yeah. And they don't care. Instead, I was like, wow, you said that, or wow, you did that. And that's what really sucks. Yeah. And you're right. But I hope that he really hasn't cut his Disney ties, because there's so much open for Maul to do stuff. Like, I want to see a Maul and Kira. I want to see their whole gangster side of it.
Continue that story.
Yeah, which we could get. I mean, look at everything that we're getting now. I don't think I really hope
we got Boba Fett. So I mean,
right? Anything is possible, huh, Paul?
But can you imagine, like, this is being completely facetious, but I sent you all the pic of like Darth Maul's feet with the lightsaber coming out of the torso. So like the bottom half of Maul lived and continues to search for Obi-Wan. Can you imagine that's like, just to spite him, it's like, here, he's back. It's the bottom half of Darth Maul, and he's just running around with that lightsaber.
And he makes a gang with Luke's hand and Mace's hand. Yeah, that's the whole crew.
I do love Maul. Maul is my favorite baddie, Star Wars baddie. I could just remembered, I totally saw Ray Park at a convention before I had seen a Star Wars, and he was doing his little lightsaber tricks, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Just call it little lightsaber tricks? That is so condescending. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean,
I love when
my
he does
mindset
it
at the time before I had seen Star Wars.
I love when he does it. And when you see him standing in a crowd and you see like that kid or the adult with his double-bladed lightsaber and he's standing there, it's like, please grab it. please grab it. And he'll take it, and then he goes into his whole routine.
Yeah.
You're like,
No, it's
yes,
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
it was cool to see, even without having any Star Wars knowledge in my head at the time.
Oh, that's when you saw it.
Yeah.
No wonder. Yoko was like, "Is that his umbrella? What is he doing? What is he twirling around?"
Yeah, I didn't hear about any of this Darth Maul stuff, which is hearing it now. It kind of sucks because it's a great character. He only got to play Darth Maul in the first movie, and it seems very limited. And then since then they've expanded. Oh, sorry, and Solo.
But he never even got to do the voice in
yes.
Phantom Menace.
That's not even his voice.
It was Peter Serafinowicz who
right.
did it, so.
But he, like you said, he seemed to be really invested in Darth Maul. I did line up for his autograph at a convention here in Toronto one time, and he was super cool. Spent his time with everybody. Like Ernie said, he saw a dual-bladed lightsaber. He'll come out from behind the table, do some moves, and then I was in line, and then these people, they're like, "Oh, you got to come, and you already signed on to do these autographs." And I heard him go, "But these people have been waiting in line for so long. They're waiting for me." It's like, "But you have this other event." So he came out, and then he's like, "Hey, I have this other thing I have to do, another commitment, but I promise I'll be back. I know you guys have been waiting here a long time." He saw me because I was wearing a Punisher t-shirt. He pointed at me. He's like, "I know this guy's been here for a long time." And then he came around, and then he touched my arm. And then I still haven't washed that arm to this day. But he's just, he's very considerate of the fans and, the character.
He was like, Mr. eBay. Mr. eBay.
And even though he's going to go sell the signature, I'm still going to do it.
Yeah, it was awesome. So
Hamill told me all about you.
Yeah.
They have their own little Discord, all the Star Wars actors. Paul, you can turn off your camera, Paul, for your poker face. You don't have to say anything about that Discord.
They actually do. They actually do.
Awesome. And I think this ties into what we want to get into next as the lead into the Kenobi series, the countdown to Kenobi. Because if Maul was on, he was in Star Wars Rebels, and I have it in my notes here, season 3, episode 20. And Darth Maul, after searching through some Sith holocrons with Ezra, he's able to locate Kenobi. And in that episode, he goes through a whole journey, and he's searching for Kenobi, and he thinks Kenobi is the key to bringing balance, whatever it may be. And then he deduces while he's facing off, he's like, "Oh, why would you even choose a place like this? This terrible, terrible, boring old planet. Unless you're guarding something or someone." And he kind of deduces what's going on. So I would be curious as to how you could work that into a Kenobi series that takes place prior to that episode of Rebels, unless they, I don't know, flashbacks or they meet somewhere else. Because
the thing is, though, with Kenobi, that takes place before the events in Rebels.
Right.
So, I mean, because the speculation was the Kenobi television series takes place a year after the events in Solo. Right?
Oh, really?
A year after?
It's a year after. It's 9 BBY. So that's before the Battle of Yavin. So if you look at it, Solo takes place. So I think it's 10 BBY, right? And so that's the thing. So Maul is still around, and he's at sort of the height of his powers in terms of the being in that
timeline keeps messing with my head.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It's real hard right now.
Yeah,
that's the thing, because it's like so he fits in there like that. Yeah. He's still alive. He's still very spry.
We're totally going to see him still.
Well, and that's the thing. It might be the greatest con in the history of cons.
Yeah.
In terms of suddenly Ray Park shows up. He's like, surprise, surprise, motherfuckers. And he's like,
yeah. And we're going to love it still.
Yeah, it still might happen. Christopher Lloyd being leaked as being on the cast of The Mandalorian. It's all smoke screens, diversionary tactics. Everybody's like, like, oh, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, there he is. So but it makes like it fits within the timeline. And they're already. I saw an article as well where they, Kathleen Kennedy was quoted saying, "It's time to have a discussion. We know Kenobi was supposed to be a one-off, but there's talk of a season 2 of Kenobi." Right? So,
What?
Don't
did
tease
you guys
us
not
like
see
that.
There was an article
Wow.
in one of the trade papers where like, yeah, we have to start having this discussion. Now, it might be a short discussion, but they're having a discussion about the possibility of a Kenobi season 2.
That's so awesome. But
Right?
because so as we talk timelines, there's so much
Yeah.
space in between where it could be a whole one-off of a whole different story.
Yeah.
And just like Yoko's saying is, I wish we had that too, because there is so much in between. I mean, from Clone Wars to Rebels to Mando to everything of, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this is here.
Timeline? Yeah.
Yes.
I need a visual timeline. I would say I would
Yes.
save it as my desktop background. Just to have it there all
I
the time.
also do with all of this that has come out now, which is great, because now, as all the Disney Plus stuff is, and then those comics kind of fit in there too, right? As far as story, like that's where
Black Chrysanthemum?
Yes, thank you. He
Like
was in the
Mandalorian?
comics. Yeah. No.
Because he and Obi-Wan clash.
Correct.
They fight each other.
Yes.
That's how Black Chrysanthemum gets that scar.
Yes. And so that's what I'm saying is, important keys of I wish Disney had, or StarWars.com or something, had a running timeline, like key points of, here it is. Obi-Wan fights him, get a scar, but you've also seen him, Book of Boba, and you can just see all these key points of, wow, okay, that's our timeline.
I'm guessing they should have one on Wikipedia already, if they don't already have one.
Someone has it.
That actual time, someone's done the math.
Yeah.
And they've done it out, because I know I've seen it. I've been watching, you go through YouTube and it's like 500 million little things you might have missed in the teaser trailer for Obi-Wan. All right, so what is it? This note that they played, it's like, yes, notes are in music. I get it. Like, come on. This note has been used in many other Star Wars. That note's been played in all these songs. It's not just Star Wars specific, but things like that.
Yeah.
But one of the things and they reach, some of these videos are reaches like, oh, there's a bit of brown fur here. Could it be Chewbacca? And then for every sort of misguided thing, you get a nugget of knowledge, like them saying, oh, this could be Chewbacca because this takes place a year after the events in Solo, but he would be off with Han Solo. He wouldn't be on this planet type thing. But you get little nuggets of information just sort of accidentally through all the other things that they're trying to dig for.
How about the ones making videos that don't know Star Wars, but want to jump on the hype train? And then could Kenobi die in this series? Don't know. Stay tuned.
500 facts from a minute 40 trailer doesn't seem that far-fetched, whereas we've done a 2-hour stream for that same teaser. So when you said 500 facts about Kenobi, and your reaction was like, all right, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll click this, I'll give it a look. Yeah, okay,
yes.
Where even Paul had to go, he's like, you guys are going too long, my friends are here, we're only 20 seconds in. I have to go. Yes, that's us. That is definitely us.
We mentioned comics also. There's another issue of Star Wars, the 2020 run, issue 7. Luke Skywalker returns to Kenobi's little hermit hut and finds, I think, like a treasure chest almost with Obi-Wan's. That and his journal. And he talking about chonies. Qui-Gon's?
Yeah.
Written on a pair of chonies. Hieroglyphics almost. But it documents some of Obi-Wan's time on Tatooine as he was overlooking and protecting Luke on the planet. Some of his adventures, his interactions with Uncle Owen, some local thugs that worked for Jabba the Hutt. I think it was cool because it's Luke reading about somebody who was watching him over him like his entire life. It's like, oh, he's protecting me in this journal. And then he's reading Ben's journal and some of the adventures that goes on. I'm wondering if that kind of ties in, or if there's going to be any callbacks to the show. But those are some of the things that you can kind of look into if you're excited for the show. Yoko also mentioned a book.
Yeah, I had started reading Master and Apprentice, which is, the story of young Obi-Wan with Qui-Gon. And I had just started it. Oh my gosh, it was like around Christmas time I had started it, and then I never went back to it. So I might as well start over at this point. But it seems like I think there might be some nuggets in there that will carry on over into this show. So I'm going to go back.
Because we're definitely speculating Qui-Gon to show up too, right?
Yes, for sure.
Again, so much hype we're building again on this small little teaser trailer. And it's like Qui-Gon's got to be in that cave. He has to.
He's got to speak to Obi-Wan through the Force and teach him how to turn himself into a Force ghost when he dies. Because that's how.
I mean, in episode 3, Yoda literally says to him, teach you I will. To speak to Qui-Gon has mastered the road to immortality. So I'm going to teach you how to talk to him. It makes sense. It's a way of bringing back Qui-Gon. I think Liam Neeson has been loosely associated with the show. I mean, it was like way back, like months and months ago. People were saying, "Oh, Liam Neeson, he's attached in some way," and then that sort of died out really quick. But
yeah, to go along with that one too. I mean, did you hear about the Samuel L. Jackson interview that went on this week too, where he's straight? But that was great because that wasn't a rumor or nothing. You got it recorded, and him saying, "So, I want back in. Who's gonna let me do it?" That was awesome. Yeah, he said that he was being interviewed, and he said, I've worked with Bryce Dallas Howard, and I kind of already reached out to her. If she's doing Mando episodes, like, I'm ready to go. Put me in, coach. And he even said, I'll learn how to do a saber duel with left-handed. And that was, it was great, dude. I mean, he literally called it out, like, please, can we make this happen?
I would love to see that. Older Mace Windu scars all over, one hand. That would be fantastic. And I thought,
didn't he get both of his hands cut off? Sorry,
wasn't it what?
I thought he got both of his hands cut off.
Well, they can join the party with Maul's legs.
Wasn't it just the one when he was about to strike the Emperor? It was just one. He had it up.
And then
I think it was one.
Blew him out with the electrical. You know what? I'm thinking of Count Dooku. Dooku had both.
Dooku.
Yeah.
Dooku was and his head.
Yeah, and then his head.
Yeah. There's the torso.
Another one.
Yeah.
We Frankenstein all those pieces together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have a whole person, right? Dooku's top.
There's a bunch of arms, available.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If someone made a Build-A-Figure, I would probably chase those pieces to build Frankenstein Jedi Sith character. Back to Maul real quick. I think for a split second too, during the Book of Boba Fett, some people were kind of anticipating he would show up too if there was a. No, wait.
No, he's already gone.
Maul's already gone at that time.
Yeah, that's why we're waiting for Kira, because she should have taken over.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I thought it's a real shame that we got the tease of him at the end of Solo and nothing else came from that. And Paul, you mentioned, if the movie didn't do that great, they're kind of like, okay, we're gonna kind of shy away from that for a little bit. It's like, just, we want that story,
which is so sad because Solo
it'll make you some
great.
money. It'll make you some money. It may not make you huge profits, but there are people who are going to watch.
We're getting it, aren't we? Like, because she's going to be in her own series. Didn't they announce that?
That was, but Lando was announced too. So there's still a lot that was talked about that we haven't got yet. Basically what we know.
Like a year.
Yeah. But no. Wasn't it 2? Wasn't all that 2 years ago?
The announcement about Kira's own show was in the last year. Like, I don't think it's even been a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought that was with everything else.
I feel like that was like 3 months ago.
Oh, no, I thought that was at the beginning as well. And there's Lando and everything.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. But there was also a show called Rangers of the New Republic that was supposed to be on.
Tell us more.
And yeah, so sometimes shows don't happen. So
Yeah. Usually I try not to pay attention until it's like it's starting filming and it's in the works, because people can have plans to have a certain story or thing, but then depending, multiple factors until it starts going into production and whatnot, then it seems really real, and you can kind of bank on it.
Or sometimes it starts shooting and you have no idea it's even been in production until like set photos get leaked, like for Andor. I mean, totally forgot. Oh, right, Andor. Like, people still forget Andor is. I mean, I think they've been renewed for a. Have they been renewed? No, I'm thinking Star Trek. But I mean, because I filmed in England, right?
Right.
And so they just because they just made another big announcement. Sorry, I'm sacrilege. I'm talking about Star Trek, but they announced for Strange New Worlds, which is this Star Trek spinoff of the Enterprise with Captain Pike in command. That hasn't even aired yet. Season 1 hasn't even started. They're still shooting season 2 in Toronto right now, and they announced that the casting of Captain James T. Kirk for that, and like the first season of the show hasn't even aired, and then they just announced in season 2 you're going to have this guy's going to be playing Kirk. So that's an interesting thing. But I think for Andor, getting back to the original point, like everybody forgot, at least North America, that there's a whole other series that takes place before Rogue One, right? So how's that for mindfuck in terms of the timeline? And it's like post Clone Wars, but pre episode 4, right? So it's in that gap again between episode 3 and episode 4, and it's the beginnings of like Cassian Andor's story, and like his backstory is he fought for the Separatists against the Galactic Republic. And so from a certain point of view, you look at it and you go, oh, he was on the bad guy side. It's like, no. He was like the Separatists were actually the good guys, because the Galactic Republic becomes the Galactic Empire. And that's how really, truly messed up some of these situations are now, and how heartbreaking it is too.
Yeah.
Because, you look at the clones, they're the heroes. These were the good guys. And then you kind of go, yeah, were they? Were they at the end? Were they all duped? And like the sands shift, and all of a sudden it's like, no, they're the good guys. When they won, maybe they were the good guys, but then they became the bad guys really quickly. And that's the thing. But you forget, because it's out of sight, out of mind. You have an entire series. There's that other one, Acolyte. Isn't that supposed to be shooting? They've got a cast. They must be shooting somewhere, right?
I don't know, Paul.
That's the thing. You don't know. Right? You saw the Tano show. You don't know. I didn't even know I was on Book of Boba Fett. Until the wardrobe fitting. I thought I was doing Mandalorian season 3. So it's all that stuff that you just, between the secrecy and the sheer volume of stuff being shot, it's impossible almost to say what's being filmed, what you're even going to be on. So I don't blame what's her face for forgetting that she was in a movie. What's her name?
Gwyneth.
Gwyneth, yeah,
right.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah,
I don't blame her because of all the secrecy. You just show up and you're like, I'm playing this one character. I have no idea which movie this character's in, but okay. And then you do it because you have to sign NDA after NDA. You don't get the full script. You don't get anything except for your sides. You shoot it and you're gone. So. And then if you don't watch the whole thing, then you're not going to know.
That's interesting about the Andor show, that it's not filmed here. Is there less focus on it in media or paparazzi? Like they don't see that.
Yeah, I think so.
Players involved.
I think in the UK, they're not as. I mean, there's a huge contingent of like Star Wars fans in the UK, but I mean, they're paparazzi. They're busy chasing after the royal family or other younger paparazzi. They don't, honestly, they don't care as much about Star Wars that's being shot there. I mean, obviously they do, because there were some set photos that were leaked like right away. So somebody knows the value of doing some of the things. And I know like the prop building community was like on fire because they showed, pictures of the new short blaster that the short troopers had all of a sudden. So all these Facebook groups that I'm part of, like these cosplaying groups, were like rejoicing and going, "Oh my God, we've got still images about all this stuff." And so, it's there, but it's not to the same level as it is in the U.S. Like shooting a couple
And
shows in LA.
those photos came from somebody visiting on vacation from the U.S. who saw it and got leaked.
I was gonna say, like, with travel restrictions, that's probably helped keep the fanboys and their cameras over here.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Not only that, COVID restrictions. Your like sets are locked down even tighter now because there's just you got to be careful because if COVID spreads, the production shuts down and they won't have that. So there's no visitors. Everybody's vetted, like just for not just you have to have passes because you're restricted. Even crews restricted to certain areas on set just for COVID reasons, right? And so everything is clamped down. So it's a little bit harder, but you still have. Dudes with the telephoto lenses from like 2 miles away taking pictures off of rooftops.
So, Polly, are you trying to tell us you can't bring your podcast to work day?
I tried that. John said no.
Dang.
Yeah. John said no.
That's fine. I have an Uber Eats. I have an Uber Eats delivery for Paul Lee. See, can I walk in, please? Can I go through it? Thank you.
They'll know it's not him when you show up with a churro flavored boba tea. Okay? They're like, this guy is paparazzi. No one
all
on
my different flavored drinks. Yeah. What is that? That's not right. I don't. There's Ernie once again getting tackled by a bunch of people.
Sorry, I need to get my massage ball because my shoulder's killing me. Just give me a second.
Go for it. You see that, right? It's his shoulder. So confirm Carson Teva lightsaber fight.
Oh,
Mando season 3. Look at it's confirmed right now.
Paul's like, so glad I'm not on camera right now.
And look at you, green ball. Okay, so you have a green kyber crystal. I totally hear what you're putting down, Paul, and I'm picking it up. I got you.
What do we say about social media and that microscope, Ernie?
My shoulder's not sore because Mandalorian was like months ago. I'm shooting another show now called Avatar.
Mm-hmm. In my head, it's always Star Wars.
Should we talk a little Avatar? I mean, we are, it's Star Wars. It's
because I can't get into trouble with one franchise enough.
Right. That's what I was thinking too.
Good. That's good.
Not even out yet.
That's another fan base that's combing through my socials like with the oh yeah. There you go. But it's weird though, because people go, "That's you," and it's like it's not me though. It's like an animated version of a character that I'm going to be playing the live version of, but it's not me.
Yeah. What, the new toy?
Yeah, that's not me.
Right. Oh, they're trying to say that's already yours?
No, but they're fans who are saying, "Oh my God, that's you." It's like, how do you feel? Yeah. It's like, but it's not me. It's the animated guy, right? So
yes, right. You'd have to have the McFarlane Netflix figure, right? Yeah,
because that costume is not correct. To the Netflix version, right? It's close.
I'll talk to Daddy Mac. I'll see what he can do.
Yoko, are you, as the people who generally are the ones who haven't seen something that we talk about, have you seen all of Avatar?
I have not seen any of it.
Any? Oh, okay. I'm ahead of you.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to watch
Do I need to see it before I watch Paul's show?
You need to watch the entire series before next week.
What are you watching? Because I've never seen Avatar.
I got a busy week.
I would say, I don't think you need to, but I think if you want, it's sort of like saying, well, you don't really need to see Rebels if to enjoy Obi-Wan, right? Mm-hmm. You'll get deeper cuts if you do see it.
Yeah.
No, you need to see Rebels.
Right.
Everyone
all I'm saying is, but you don't really, because my wife will watch it. Anna will watch Obi-Wan, and she'll enjoy it, right? But you get more from it if you've already seen Rebels or you rewatch Rebels. If you rewatch Rebels, okay. You get those deeper cuts. And so with Avatar, I think the fans who've seen the series, first of all, like they rival Star Wars fans in terms of like attention to detail. I mean that they're it's a great fan base. And they're hungry. They're hungry for anything just because they haven't seen in their eyes a proper adaptation of the series yet. But I think that speaks to the strength of the series. So if you're a fan of animated shows, if you're a fan of good storytelling, character development, watch it. I'd say, you're not going to lose anything by watching it. And in fact, you'll get a lot of like really, really cool nods to the actual series itself. The live action series uses the animated series as a jumping off point, but we're not doing an episode for episode remake of the storylines, obviously, because it is an adaptation. There's going to be differences, but the spirit of the characters, we're trying to stay really true to that, and we're trying to do those characters justice for the fans as well. Because there's a set of expectations, like with Obi-Wan, like with Boba Fett. You've got a legion of fans who expect a certain level, and we hope to deliver on that. And I think we will, based on what I've seen and what I've done. I think it's cool, and I think if you watch the series, you'll appreciate it, and you'll see the attention to detail that's been put into it and the hard work on it. So,
is there anticipated timing for your show yet?
I have no idea. I mean, we're halfway through.
How much time do I have?
Yeah, I'd say you have at least till the end of the year.
Okay.
Like, because if you think about it, just and I'm going to use Mandalorian season 2 as a timeline, and this is pre-pandemic, mind you, or it's just before the pandemic hit. Like, I finished shooting just about 3 weeks before the pandemic hit. So like hit in full force. So like they finished shooting at the end of March for an 8 episode arc, and it came out in October. So you're thinking March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So you look at 5 months, right? 8 months. Sorry, math.
Those fingers tripped you up for a second.
Yeah, no,
they did. Because I'm like, why aren't you using both hands?
Yeah,
I need both hands. What happened?
But you're looking at about 8 months, and that's quickest sort of thing. And that's for me, it's like that's pure ass speculation too, because they might air it next year.
Yeah,
even.
yeah,
You never
that
know.
makes sense.
So
that is good. That is good. Quick math.
Bernie, are you a fan of Avatar as well?
No, I need to watch it.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't-
ahead of.
That's why I raised my hand with Yoko, is because I also need to get into it and watch it. So what is it on? Is it on
Netflix.
You can watch
Netflix
on
right now?
Netflix. It's all on
Okay.
Netflix.
Okay.
And they're like the 22-minute episodes. It's like 22 episodes per season.
Okay.
3 seasons, about 20 episodes a season.
Yeah.
It goes by quick. I mean, again, it premiered on Nickelodeon in like 2005. It was originally for a younger audience. So book 1, which is season 1, it's a little bit, some of you kind of like, okay, it's for kids. But book 2 and 3, it matures up really fast.
Yeah.
And like there is a rabid fan base who are like,
Correct.
who firmly believe that is the best in terms of character journeys and story arcs that they've ever seen and have ever experienced.
Yeah.
And they will fight you tooth and nail on that. And I see where they're coming from. I don't necessarily agree, but I think it's just strong storylines in it and very surprisingly deep and emotional for an animated series. Yeah, like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I understand why people get really invested in it.
I'm sure I'll watch it and love it and get obsessed with it and start a podcast and forget everybody else.
Right. I'm totally excited about it. I am to get into it. So that's awesome. I love animated stuff from all aspects. Although I don't do anime stuff.
You can't say that. You cannot say that. You can't say you love all animated stuff and then say you don't like anime, because you're just contradicting yourself.
I didn't say I don't
It
like
makes no
anime.
sense.
I
You
can't.
cannot say that. That's like saying
The kids watch it all the time, and I'm like, why are these people fighting on a train, killing, and then they stop to eat, and then like nothing makes sense
what
to
do
me
you
when
say
they're
when
watching
people
it.
say, "Oh, I'm not going to watch Clone Wars and Rebels because I don't like animated shows." What's your response to that?
No, I've tried to watch different anime ones, and I can't connect with them. It's too crazy.
Is it because you
too
have
much
to read, or no? Are you
no,
probably not even watching it? So.
no, I love it. I always have subtitles on. I'm that guy now. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't fully get into all the different weird stuff that's going on. To me, I'm like, what are you guys watching all the time? I like my animated shows, you know. My favorite was Batman the Animated Series. Like, I love that. That was coming home after school, turning that on, you know, getting your hot pocket, starting your homework, and Batman was on. Like, to me, that Batman is like part of my Batman fandom, like for reals, you know, from growing up with the Adam West stuff, and then you got Batman the Animated Series, which was just beautiful, introduces Harley Quinn. And then speaking of that, now you have a Harley Quinn show. I freaking love Harley Quinn. If you guys haven't watched that, like, I highly recommend that. That show is just
Because it's animated.
It is, but it's great.
You know what anime is short for, Ernie?
Animation?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. I can't. And then, you know, the guys on the other show, especially, you know, Toy Migos, they're fully all into it. Well, like Chamba and Cheney and everybody, Adam, everybody. And they're like, you have to watch this. And I've tried a couple and I'm just like, oh, I can't. I don't know what is going on.
Someone has to animate that stuff, Ernie. It's not another magical fairy that takes care of all the stuff.
And the whole season's just come out, and the whole story just drops and everything.
So you like the simplicity of the North American style of animated storytelling.
There you go. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I did, you know. I knew Yosemite Sam was after Bugs Bunny. Good guy, bad guy. That's it. Wile E. Coyote was never going to grab Roadrunner ever. Okay. I got that. Tom hates Jerry. Jerry just wants to be friends. I get it. You know,
Jerry. Oh, whoa. Jerry didn't just want to be friends. Jerry was an antagonistic little prick. Let's get this straight, okay? Jerry,
yeah, don't act like he's all innocent in all this.
He's no little angel there. He was like the Jerry that I knew was a little prick, and that's what made it fun. That's what made it fun. I'm not talking about the 70s version of Tom and Jerry. I'm talking old school 1940s racist, like Tom and Jerry with the awesome animation where Jerry was
a racist version.
Dick. What's that?
There's a racist version?
Oh, yeah, like the very beginning of Tom and Jerry. And if you buy it on Blu-ray or the remastered version, they actually have Whoopi Goldberg. She's got an introduction where she talks about the racist elements of the show. And she says, hey, you know, we've kept them. We haven't edited them. We've kept in the racist elements because to erase them makes it so that we pretend it never existed. But it did exist. And it has to be acknowledged. And there has to be conversations about it. So we're leaving it in here. So you have those conversations about it. But make no bones, it is racist through and through. The owner of Tom and Jerry was a black woman who was a maid. And all you ever saw were the bottom parts of her legs, like big, thick legs, like with the and she spoke with that Thomas, that horribly racist voice, and she used to whomp Thomas with the broom and stuff like that. But that was, you know, that was the style of the time. That was a comedic character that they left in. But Tom and Jerry back in, like, I love the animation style, the way they were drawn for me. That was it's like the Peanuts. Right, with this style from the 50s, that look, that's the style that I grew up watching, and so for me, that's the original, that's the OG, that's the proper version of it, right? And so for Tom and Jerry, if you look at the style of drawing, it's so much more detailed, and there's just so much more character in the earlier iterations of Tom and Jerry from the 40s and 50s than from the. I hate the way they draw Tom and Jerry in the 70s. Like when I grew up watching them, like the modern Tom and Jerry looked like garbage to me. I like that stuff. And the storylines I like better because they were, you know, they're just more interesting in my mind. I mean, and Jerry wasn't this angel. He was a dick. He would go around and he would antagonize the fuck out of Tom. And Tom would go, and he would drive him nuts, which is what made it that much more fun. Because they were both assholes to each other, right?
made him to
Whereas
get
when it's
cause to
like,
get
oh,
beat by that broom.
Yeah, and it's just like,
Yes.
oh, it's poor Jerry. And there were times where, yeah, Jerry was he's getting picked on because he was a mouse, right? There were absolutely stories like that. But there were also stories where Tom was just trying to take a fucking nap, and Jerry, put fucking mouse traps in the milk and fucking like totally set him up to fail. So there's that element there too. But like, yeah, you back off on Jerry probate. You back off.
All right.
I mean,
I can't
Tom
even know
and
what we're talking about.
I know Tom and Jerry discussion was not on my bingo card for this
No,
evening.
it was not. But that is a cartoon that is very near. I would watch, like when you mentioned Bugs Bunny too. Same thing. The earlier Bugs Bunnies were way better than the later ones, right? Like that. For my money, it's just like it had more teeth to it.
Mm-hmm.
Once we got to the 70s, everything kind of got watered down a little bit too much.
Correct.
And it was just like, it's like Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. They edit it now so that you don't see the shit blow up in Wile E. Coyote's face. You don't see him get shot in the face with a shotgun because it's a trap that backfired on him. They'll show the aftermath, but they won't show the actual him shooting himself in the face type thing. And like when I was a kid, it's like I would never shoot myself in the face. You would never do that because even as a kid, that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, it's like, oh no, we gotta sanitize it.
Because one kid did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we gotta do it because one dumbass ruined it for all of us. Right.
See, and that's how I grew up with it the same way, weekend cartoons. It wasn't like a daily. It was like Channel 9 or before a movie was on and like that. The best to my memories of those Tom and Jerry or those old Looney Tunes was at pizza parlors. There was always like a big screen shown above, everybody eating and everything, and arcade games over here like that. And those classic cartoons were always being shown, and it was great. I mean, that was pizza, video games, running around with your friends, and those classic cartoons, Woody Woodpecker, Popeye, and everything like that. It was all different times beforehand, and then like you're saying, then it gets switched because I didn't know that Looney Tunes came back, and I actually watched one, and maybe like a few years ago, I guess they tried to restart Looney Tunes, and I was like, and as a kid watching, even now as an adult, you watch this, you're like, you crack up, dumbass. Like, and you loved it, and now you're right, it's so sugar coated, and it's like, okay, like I know what should happen because I've seen it before, but it's pretty funny.
I have to say, as a dumbass, I take offense to this. I would not point a shotgun to my face. All right.
It's because of you.
Because of me that cartoons changed, and I haven't even seen them yet.
Oh, speaking of I think this is a good segue.
This is a great segue. Nice job.
Let's talk about the homework assignment. What was the homework assignment? Which movie was it this week? Was it the Thing? The Thing. Yeah. And so now for proper context, The Thing, the southern version of it, The Thing. Just like the French version of it is Ça. So we're going to be talking about this. So we have this segment now where basically a couple of the members of the panel, this esteemed panel, are challenged to watch a movie that a lot of us would assume that we've already seen. And we challenge them to watch this movie, one movie a week, and see if it holds up. And it's usually a classic movie that's a little bit older. It's not a contemporary movie, but something. And this all came about one time when we were talking about movies, and I had assumed that the two of you, that everybody had seen The Thing, and then it came out that Yoko hadn't seen it and Kevin hadn't seen it, and I called them dumbasses. And so it became this beautiful thing, where they watched the movie.
Beautiful.
And we see if it holds up. And I have to say, Ernie, you're part of this too. When you guys were both, when the two of you were both on Discord commenting about the movies, I think I found so much joy, because then I knew it had the same freaking impact on you as it did on me and probably Ernie when we were younger watching it for the first time.
Okay.
So let's talk about John Carpenter's 1982 remake of the 1955 version of this movie. So John Carpenter's movie was a remake of The Thing. So let's kick it off. So neither Yoko or Kevin, neither of you had seen this movie. You'd heard of it before, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because I've seen toys of it. That's how I get most of my information, daily news and life advice. It's
Okay.
how it comes through in toys and toy news. So I've seen NECA has put out in their, I think it's their, is it Ultimates also that they call it?
Yes.
And
The last one was yes.
Yeah.
The thing, and you know, I looked at it and is this thing where my brain didn't see what it was. I would go, oh, the thing. I have absolutely no idea what this is. I just block it out. But I have. That's the only way that I've been exposed to that movie. And then, of course, on your channel, because you collect Blu-rays and collector editions of Blu-rays and movies, and you were raving about that. So that's where I've also heard of it.
Right.
But on that, I'm assuming there's some sort of collector's edition of the thing that you have.
The 4K version came out. I have many different iterations of that. I collect physical media, so it was VHS, then it was VHS letterbox, which is widescreen, then it jumped onto DVD, then Blu-ray. There was like the Ultimate Collector's Edition, but now with the advent of 4K, they're really leaning hard on the premium edition. So I have like the German Steelbook. There's the North American Steelbook version, the Mondo Steelbook variant cover. And through, I think, Shout Factory, they had... No, it wasn't Shout. It wasn't that movie. It was a different one. But they had it in the 4-pack with, like, Prince of Darkness, The Fog, The Thing, and They Live. All sort of put together in one spectacular pack. But, I mean... And then NECA came out, again, with the Ultimates, and they had it was the McCready Station 31 version of him. And I'd never seen a version of McCready. That's the character that Kurt Russell plays in it. And then they released the flamethrower version of it. So it's like, for me, it was a gold mine. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, we're getting all these great thing. Like, we're finally getting figures that I can get. And then they're releasing like the dog version of it with the spider. And I think I'm going to talk to Yoko about that, because that was one of the first things she texted about in the Discord.
You just read our chat transcripts.
It was great.
I recall. I don't need to read it. I remember what I said. I messaged and I very explicitly was like, "This movie is fucked." That was what I wrote in the chat. And Paul, it's kind of cool, because if we're looking at, does this movie still hold up, and you get enjoyment of seeing that reaction from me, and it's the same as when you saw it. It's like, well, I mean, that, we don't need to wrap it up right now, but that's pretty much it. We're getting that same reaction as when it first came out.
It was great after you said that. I'm at work, and so I look at my phone, and I'm just like, oh, cool, he's watching it. And I put it down and go back, because you're like, oh, all right, he is really watching it. Good.
It was great.
Man. Oh. And Yoko's was what? The opening on the dog, right? Not the
Instantly.
dog. Yeah.
Instantly, I was worried for I'm like, why? Why does there have to be a dog? Why?
Yeah. And that's the hook that got me. I remember years when I first saw it, and I was a kid. And if you haven't seen The Thing yet, spoiler alert. Okay, it's from 1982. Go check it out. John Carpenter. And then I suddenly realized how much of a John Carpenter fan I was, how many of his movies I grew up watching and adoring. I used to think Steven Spielberg was my guy. I gotta say, it's John Carpenter. He was like this. He made so many movies that impacted my life in many ways, same way as Spielberg, but in much more viscerally. And it just, because he played to that terror side, like the part that kept me actually terrified, more so than Spielberg in Jaws, which is my favorite movie of all time. But watching The Thing, like at the beginning, because it's that helicopter and they're chasing that husky and they're shooting at it. And I remember as a kid feeling outraged. I was so mad. It's like, why are they doing that? And when they get killed, and then you find out later on why. And you're like, oh God, oh, that's why, right? Like it all, like it's that beautiful bit of storytelling that when the other shoes start to drop, you suddenly realize. And I think it was great seeing that, because it was just like validation for the way I felt, and the fact that it still holds up after all these years. Like they used practical effects in the movie, great character actors. Like that whole movie is just filled with great character actors and relatable characters too. And you can see There's some really great gore moments. So if you're a horror fan and you love that I remember seeing an issue of Fangoria where they showed the Norwegian face that's all frozen over, and you see that one guy, his throat's been slit like almost to the bone, and all the blood has been frozen in a waterfall type way, and you're like, oh geez. So it's got that for the horror fans, and a lot of jump scares, a lot of great jump scares,
dude.
And
it got me a couple times,
right?
for sure. It's like you know that it's coming, and it still gets
Yes.
you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of the biggest like jump scares is like when Doc with the defibrillator paddles,
Yeah,
and he gives a shock, and then
I think I was trying to find my stream of messages because I think that prompted one of my messages.
Yeah.
That part.
I recall when that happened because it's so quick. He goes to do the defibrillator on that body, and none of the aliens previously did something similar to that, which is why it was such a surprise. And I remember blinking and then seeing that happen, and all of a sudden his hands are gone. I said, wait, what? How did that happen? So I go back and I play it in slow motion, and the freaking stomach opens up in some sort of like giant Venus flytrap stomach.
Yes.
And it just, both hands go in, and I go, okay, who thinks of this? How does this even happen?
Yeah.
Where you're like, just looking at some of the alien faces and how they, because they're in a mix of
and then
turning,
it scuttles off.
Yeah.
turning human.
With the head, the head.
Yes.
That stuff is already in my head. That's when I was like, you guys are messed up. Like this is
And
sick
upside down.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the stomach just goes bloop, and just bites the hands off. I go, how do you even think of this? This is wild. This is so crazy.
Seeing it back then for the first time, and in that context of stuff of we don't know, that sets a standard for so much stuff, like John Carpenter films, like you do that, and the actors that are based with it. So then growing up for me, if you saw that actor in something else, like you already in your head, oh, this is gonna be a good movie, because everybody had a basis of the actor that you played or continued on, that stereotype of that actor in B movies, or whether it was a Carpenter movie or everything. But this one just went full out on gore and situations. Like, who would ever think that? Or like that dog scene of it growing out and the way that it heads and everything. And not only that, but starting a movie of just starting into it, and you get into it. You have no idea what's going on. Why are they there? Where are you? Instead, you're just full in, oh, there's stuff going on. Yeah. And so for that to literally pull you in, like, that's all we needed then. But now everybody, character development.
Yeah. But I mean, as well, I mean, it's that whole idea of it could be any of us. It could be like, you have no idea who it could be. So the mistrust and the fear that's there. I mean, that's like, to me, the perfect example of COVID. It's all, any of us could have it. We don't know. Even you might not even know you have it, but you could be spreading it. And like the lengths they go to try to protect each other. Like when they tie everybody up, he's got the flamethrower on them, and he's drawing blood to do that fucked up test.
That jump scare, what the hell, man?
Yeah,
I'm like, blood
was
in
it.
a petri dish can scream.
That was it. Yeah.
And I love that because like they're tied to the sofa with the guy. And he starts to split open, and the two other guys, they're like, get us out. I mean, I was crying with laughter and screaming with fear at the same time when I saw that. But it's just like it played on all of those things that are so the basis of human nature. Yeah. And the isolation of being out there, and then the responsibility of, we can't let this get out.
Right.
None of us can get out of here. Otherwise, the world is fucked. I mean, that for me was like so heavy as a kid. It was like, oh my God, but I would want to live. But if the president kills everybody. And so, Yoko, your final message was like, I hate open-ended endings like this.
Yeah, like I love it and I hate it at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed the movie a lot. I liked it a lot. But like, oh my God, like that's an ending. I'm like still thinking about it. Like I will obsess over an ending like that for an unhealthy amount of time. Yeah. Where I'm like, I start Googling and I'm reading all the theories. I can tell you like 5 different theories about how it ended now, like actually I want to talk about that. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think about the end? Well, how do you interpret what happened there at the end? Like what happened to those guys?
Me? Or
all of you.
You mean the two of them, like do they survive?
Oh yeah, do they like, or is one of them the thing? Like, what do you think?
Well, the way I look at it is they're both gonna, if they're both human, they're both dead anyways.
Yeah.
They're gonna freeze to death.
Yeah.
If one of them, I think the fact of the matter is that they let themselves freeze to death means the alien has won. Because if they really wanted to make sure that the alien was gonna stop, they should have burned each other alive, right?
Right.
Like because if one of them is infected and they freeze, that's exactly what the alien wanted. Because then if they come over and revive, dig out the bodies, it just has to warm up and then it goes, right? So the thing is, the true way to really, really nail it down is they should have gone, it's just the two of us. And you spark that grenade or that you get that bomb or whatever and you torch them. But the fact that they're staring at each other distrustfully as it gets darker and darker and the flames die down. Yeah, they can both freeze to death. And they could both be non-infected, but the only way to be sure, it's like in Aliens, take off and nuke it from orbit. Like that's the only way they could have been sure.
Kev doesn't get that reference.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen Aliens?
So episode 3, I guess we'll be talking about.
Kevin, have you not seen Aliens? You've seen Aliens though, Yoko, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah, and I know Ernie has. Well, you just got your next assignment. I think
I have to edit. I have to somehow put this podcast together into one.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
We have to watch Alien and Aliens.
You haven't seen Alien either?
Wait, what?
Alien is first. Aliens is part 2.
Things?
Yes.
Oh, it's kind of like iPhone 3G and 3GS. You just added an S on.
Yeah, you had to go
just like that.
You had to go on. Yeah. So there we go. Another part of the assignment.
You'll enjoy it. If you like,
sure I will.
You'll like Alien and you'll like Aliens.
I do feel bad that I haven't seen Alien. It's Alien first.
Alien.
I don't want to
singular Alien.
Singular. There's
because
only one.
I have seen a lot of fantastic toys out there, and again, that's how I.
And again, that was the start of all. And not only that, but again, the ones that we're saying are so pop culture reference because so many TV shows or movies quote. This stuff or do something that was part of that movie. They're like, oh, you catch that. And so to not know that is kind of like weird. You know what I mean? Like, how have you not known that? Which is great to do this. And then going on Yoko's one, like for me, I really thought, the alien had survived because of the frozen. Because in there, they had showed where they dug it up and it was frozen. That square, so it's been preserved this whole time. And so to me, it was like, oh, it's happening again. No matter which one, because you still have them alive.
I seriously read theories for like 2 hours after that movie, and I never that didn't come up. Because John Carpenter has never acknowledged, like he won't tip his hand one way or another of how he thinks it ended. I'm going to be the optimist here. I'm going to think they got rescued. At least one of them survived.
They were waiting for a drop at 6 a.m. or something or was it 6 hours away? Wasn't there's supposed to be a supply drop?
I'm gonna.
And they didn't want the alien to get into the world based on. Did I make that part up in my head?
I don't remember that.
I think I think they had put out a call or something, but they thought people were too far away or something like that. Maybe so they might not they would probably freeze to death before anyone could show up. But I'm just gonna be optimistic
because I know.
Someone has to.
Who was it? Somebody told me that every year there is an actual post in Antarctica where, after a certain point, there's no ingress or egress from there. Like they are there for months, and just before that window of opportunity closes, they watch the thing. Like whoever's at the camp, and every year they invite John Carpenter to go see it with them or whatever. And every year he's like, no. Because he doesn't want to take the chance to get stuck out there.
Whoa. He's like, no, are you stupid? Have you seen
the amount of time?
Did you watch my movie? Yeah.
Yeah, so it does happen. So I remember one of the scenes they were complaining because the guy, Windows, he was saying, oh, I haven't been able to reach anybody for weeks because of the weather and blah, blah, blah. And you're screaming. So I don't think there was I got to rewatch it again. Yeah. I don't think there was a resupply. I think they were just desperate to kill it because they didn't want it to.
They gave the stats of how long before it would then take
Yeah,
over.
so they had to make sure they stopped it
everything.
there,
Yeah.
and they had to make sure it didn't just freeze in the ice, which is why they had to burn everything down. But even the burned, I remember during the autopsy, he was like even when they were looking at the burned corpses, the charred corpse, he was like, it's still alive. Like there's still cellular movement. So we got to take it out. We got to douse it with gasoline or kerosene, and we got to just make sure it's all completely crisp type thing. So
I think I read that there had been a planned sequel that got scrapped, and I believe John Carpenter had not been involved in it, where they found the charred bodies of the two guys. So they were human. They were both human. And dealing with the aftermath of that. But then that never went anywhere. So, not canon. But I think there was like a comic series or something where McCready had survived.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know.
I don't know if that is considered canon.
I want to say just for fans, new stories that'd be cool, because they did do a prequel called The Thing as well.
And I wanted to watch that, and I couldn't. So for American listeners, The Thing was free on Tubi, which was the first time for me experiencing Tubi. But it's a free video streaming service, and there was some like legit movies on there, especially horror movies. So The Thing was
we have
free on
Tubi
there.
too.
But I could not find the 2011 Thing anywhere. I would have watched it too if I could have.
That's interesting because it's actually a prequel.
Yeah.
So it's actually set in the Norwegian camp, and it stars Joe Egerton, who is in Obi-Wan, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who is in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So you got two Star Wars alum that are in The Thing. And I remember because they shot it in Toronto, and I remember auditioning for one of the parts. And I was like, I want to be in this. I want to be in this.
That's awesome.
But it's actually pretty cool because it really the filmmakers wanted to do as many practical effects as they could as an homage to John Carpenter. And in terms of how prequels go, I enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't shake didn't move the world or anything for me, but it was a really, really neat sort of fill in the blanks of what happened in the camp before. And they, of course, ended with the Norwegians chasing the dog in their helicopter. At the end of that, so type thing. So it's
I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I want to watch that one.
It's really neat. I got it on because, and that's the other lovely thing about collecting physical discs is it's always in your library. You always have it. I can truck it out. Like honestly, I wish I could send it to you because I have them at home. I have all those movies at home. And so, like, when I'm in a mood and I want to have my own film festival, I'm not at the mercy of the streaming services. I can just pull out the discs.
Well, when The Thing takes over our world and subscription services go down, we'll all head over to Paul's house and we can have a. Do any of your 4K Blu-rays, Paul, have the original version, or is it like a separate thing? Because you said
the 1955 version
was a remake.
No, I would want because I want to get it. Actually, that's one thing that I have not been able to track down. It's the 1955 version of it. Although part of me thinks maybe there's a 2-disc edition. Like there's I should double check because it might be in one of the extra features where it says the original 1955 version of it.
Have you seen it?
A feature would be great.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago when I was a kid. Just like and I remember bits of it. It's in black and white. And it's, again, it's like that 50s sort of horror bit where it's like you don't see the creature really, and it's just like they use a lot of shadow and you got to use a lot of your imagination for it, but it's actually pretty well done for the time, I think. So at least the way I remember it.
It's hard to imagine how it would hold up after seeing John Carpenter's version and those practical effects. I mean, the goo and liquids that are squirting around, the legs that are growing out, spider legs, and they're breaking them, and it's just a sound of like tree branches cracking. It's so gnarly and so gross, but you got to appreciate
poor doggies.
Yeah.
Poor doggos.
Those practical effects and just the mind that can think of some of these you making the looks with the prosthetics. It's incorporating the actor's face that it's kind of mid mutation and transformation. It's so crazy. Definitely go check it out if you are like me from 2 weeks ago and you haven't seen it yet. Do yourself a favor and check this out, and maybe you'll be messaging the Boba Squadron Instagram one day, be like, yo, this movie is fucked.
What was your final thoughts, Kev, because you didn't get into it? What did
Yeah.
you think had happened at the end, and did you enjoy it?
Well, I'm the only person here who got this interpretation that there was some sort of something about 6 hours in the morning and they had to make it. I don't know what gave me that impression, but I certainly have that in my head.
I don't
It's
remember that either.
I mean, if I'm the only one out of the four of us, then clearly something else was playing on my phone. So I thought they were just going to make it till the morning. And, you know, it doesn't make sense now because I'm the only one who made up this plot point.
6 hours, yeah.
I'm like, they just got to make it to sunrise.
Right.
I don't
So
know.
Kevin's in here listening, going, "What do you mean they froze?
What movie is
Helicopter
this?
game?" Yeah.
Mhm.
What movie is this? But if that's not the case, I think that's they survive. It's one of them is infected, and you know, one of their main goals was not having them, the alien, be in a human and surviving the cold, Captain America style. So if they don't make it, one of them's preserved. That has to be an alien, and you don't even know. That's the best part. It's not like you're undercover.
There was this whole theory. The only comment that John Carpenter did make was to shoot down this theory that people said, like, the people who were human, you could, like, I forget which way it was. Like, I think he said the ones who were human, you could see like a glow in their eyes or something in the film, and the ones who were alien didn't have that, or other way around. I can't remember. Maybe it was the other way around. That makes more sense. So people were saying that I forget his name, the one who's not McCready at the end. He's from They Live, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Keith David.
Keith David. Keith Richards is a rock star.
Yes.
they were trying to say, like, that whatever that tell
Kyle.
was, that he had it at the end, so he had to have been the thing. But John
But he
Carpenter
came
did shoot
in?
that one down, huh?
He came into that theory and said no. John Carpenter.
Yes, yeah.
So like he
Based on
stayed
my
up and read
Googling.
these.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the only. He shot down, like, the tell in the eyes theory.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
but that's the
as
only
just
thing he
being-
commented on.
That
Wow.
character was supposed to be watching a doorway, and then he ran off
Yeah, it's
behind
very
the
sus.
helicopter
Highly
right
sus.
before all the stuff went
Yeah.
down underground.
And
so
he says, "Where were you?"
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
He says, "I thought I saw him," so he ran after him,
uh-huh.
Yeah.
which could have been
Sus.
legit. He could have went after him and
Could
then
have
been
been
taken
legit.
over.
Yeah.
Which
No,
I-
and then he went off after him and he got absorbed. Right?
Yeah.
And he came back as child's. Right.
Yeah.
So
I always loved the old guy in the shed that they kept outside, that poor dude.
Yeah.
oh
When
yeah.
they didn't know, and he was always locked, and he was always begging to let me back in. Come on. I'm sorry.
I'm okay now. I'm okay.
That's always
Yeah.
that
And
was
then he had
always
this
Ernie-
whole
funny, too.
secret tunnel.
on the
Like, he
podcast.
worked fast.
Yes.
Right? He worked fast.
Yeah, he was building
That
he was building a
underground
ship.
lair? Has that been there the whole time? Like, or did he do that during the day he was locked up? Was it more than a day? I don't know.
I
That part
took
confused me a little bit.
I took it as he did that. He was alien
Yeah.
and was building a ship, and the whole distraction and let me in.
he
Oh,
as
I'll
the
do this
alien
and
did
that.
not he as a human.
Yes, he is the alien
Okay.
or
that makes
whatever
sense.
it was. Like we keep saying
That's why he
alien,
could work a
but
little
they
bit
said that
faster.
right because of the way it was.
Yeah.
What they found.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then that ship.
You know what though, Paul? You know, the whole, like, how have you not seen this movie? I think this genre of movies isn't really my kind of thing. So, like, that's the reason I haven't.
Your kind of thing.
You know, the ones that we're bringing up. What is it? They Live and The Thing and Jaws and Alien. This whole, like, kind of shocking suspense kind of thing. I don't think that's ever really something that I watched a lot of growing up. So it's like
Mhm.
that's why you can grab everything from that genre, and I'll be like, I haven't seen it. That
I'll give
that
it
would
to
be
you,
the
like,
main reason.
So growing up, that's all I had. Like I don't like horror movies to say, yeah, let's throw on a horror movie because of all these jump scares, because of characters I grew up with. I'm not a horror fan in that sense because I always remember that as a kid. Or you got tormented by Freddy, your little cousins all the time.
Mhm.
Freddy's gonna get you. You know what I mean? And that was always like you know, growing up was a different time for us too. And you play stupid evil tricks like that. Like, you know, my cousins like scratched on a window one night when we were all there, and it's like, oh, it's Freddy at 2 a.m, and then you get yelled at because you woke everybody up. Like, so growing up with this horror stuff all the time to me was, I was on the other side of that because everybody wanted to watch it. So I get you. And I was always the one, no, I don't like this, the jump scares and the everything, but that's what we had. That was like our choice, and not, everybody was going to watch it, and you had to, because there was no other point to it. You had no other choice.
I grew up rewatching Stephen Chow movies from Hong Kong, like old VHS tapes, because my parents, that's what they were watching. And then when we immigrated, all those movies were on VHS. I would rewatch the hell out of those. Most of the time, I didn't even understand a lot of those jokes. They were way too mature, but like the basic kind of slapstick comedy that's in there sometimes, and just physical comedy, that kind of stuff was something that I was really into. So I would rewatch a lot of that, and that's probably why a lot of these films, I was like, nobody showed me these things. That's part of it. So we have a giant library of episodes that we can do of things Kevin hasn't seen. If you want to talk Stephen Chow movies, I'm down.
But you've seen every James Bond movie.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked.
See, so that's the dichotomy, is because, like, I found out through one of your when you did that the box
my dad was a huge Bond fan, though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I didn't know you were a big Bond fan, and then so like you knew so much about all the movies. I thought, oh my gosh, okay. And so for me, in my mind, it's like, well, if you like Bond, then you must have seen something, because Bond falls into the same wheelhouse for me as those other movies too, because it had the adventurous element to it. There's the gadgetry. I really love like movies like The Thing, and it had a sci-fi element to it. The horror just sort of came part and parcel with it. Same with Alien, right? It was, for me, more of a sci-fi aspect to it, and I love sci-fi. And there are scary sci-fi. What's that? Yeah. And so you kind of like, for me, I mean, if it was a straight up horror, like I wasn't as into like Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger. They were just kind of there, and I went along with everybody because we were watching it, and it was. But I'm not like that kind of a horror fan, or it wasn't back then. I kind of am now, because I remember the scares they gave me when I was a kid, and so like I'm introducing my kids to it because I want to scare the shit out of them. And so it's one of those loving things where it's like, so like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, man, that scared the shit out of me. But my kids, they're like, and they want to watch the remakes, which I don't, because those are far more frightening to me than the originals kind of were in that sense. Just because the originals, for example, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there isn't a lot of violence in it. A lot of it is implied, and a lot of it, as a kid, you make up, and it's far worse. But there's a level of realism now to the new movies where it's like they throw the term torture porn around, and it's kind of true. I don't need somebody impaled on a hook and dragged up and see the blood dripping from it and see them. I don't need to see that. But that's like, it seems the new horror movies are at that level now, because we got to make them scarier than the earlier movies. We've got to make them more real. And for me, more real is it's not horror.
You lose the storytelling aspect, and it becomes just what's a new gross way we can kill someone, right?
Yeah, and it's just like
for us, it was the quick shots of a shadow of somebody hanging on the hook, or a real quick look up of the body. Oh my God, they got impaled. That was, and how about for me, Paul? I don't know about you. Everybody always told me on the horror ones, no, this was a true story. Like, this is real. And so as a kid, that always like, oh my God, like where was this? No, I heard this was I heard this was in Los Angeles. Like the dude was running around killing. Yeah, I swear.
I remember sitting on a park bench waiting for my friends to show up, and I could have sworn, oh my God, Freddy's in the tree line. And what if he comes rushing out at me with his machete? I'd be killed. And so I'd be sitting there petrified in this park in the middle of Calgary, Alberta, worried that Jason Voorhees was going to rush out of the tree line and cut me with his machete. I mean, that's the shit, right? So it's like, why? So yeah,
no phones, no pagers to ask your friend, where are you? Are you almost here? So you sat there and your head spun. That.
My parents don't know where I am.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, your friend came up behind you and tapped you on your shoulder, and you freak out. Like, hey, man, I'm here.
The same way you were laying in bed, Paul, and you thought Jaws would come out and take your arm.
I would sleep with a toy gun. because a toy gun against an imaginary shark is the most powerful weapon in the world. It's like, what are you
my
doing?
Nerf. When I was a kid, my Nerf arsenal was protecting me from everything, and those are made for.
Yeah, but it wasn't even a Nerf gun. It was like a gun that just made noise. It didn't even shoot anything. It would go tat, 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 but it was like, yeah, man, got to get my toy gun because that shark's gonna get me, and this gun will save me. Right? That's the mind of a child. So
Yeah, I mean, the scariest thing for me was the furnace in Home Alone in the basement.
Right?
For years, I would grab something from the basement, hit the light switch, and just book it up the stairs. I'm like, that furnace is gonna get me. I don't think I even had a furnace in that house.
Wow.
I had a water heater.
Yeah.
And in a room that was the door was closed, but that's what the effect that it had on me. And those Nerf guns were my setup around the house, Kevin McAllister style.
But then the whole, I mean, Stephen King had a whole thing. He wrote it in the foreword where he used to hate going down to the basement too, and because he said he'd have a sibling, and he'd hate it because he'd always know he'd get to the bottom and he'd hear his brother saying, "Now you're down there alone," and click off the light and slam the door on him. And like totally torture. And like, so I was deathly paranoid of that. My sister would never do that to me, but I was always paranoid she might. And so like you get that thought in your head, you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I used to be afraid to go pee in the upstairs bathroom because I thought the headless dude from Happy Days was gonna come and kill me. Right? That Halloween episode of where they have that dance in that house where the person got their head cut off, and then they have this whole like, I want my head back, and everybody's totally like, I honestly thought that's real.
Wasn't it Arnold?
No, it was a couple of punks. It wasn't even like Ralph Malph or Potsy. It was a couple of like all these other guys, and like Richie Cunningham's like, no, you're not real, and he was the most scared of all, and he rips it off, and it's a couple of the bullies from the other school. You guys are all chicken. Like Cunningham was the only one who wasn't scared. And they're like, oh, get out of here. And then they put on the music and they start to dance.
I still to this day turn off all the lights in the house and beeline it from my bedroom without looking behind me or anything. It's, I don't know. You just do. Okay, off. And that last one, I swear to God, before you shut off that last one.
Oh.
And then you shut it off,
Ernie,
and you
never turn around, dude. You never turn around, because when you turn around, that means they're real. If you don't turn around, they don't know that you're there. They don't know that you're there, dude. Big mistake.
Lights are still on. I'm checking everything. Like, okay.
There's a great questions for Yoko. Does your bingo card have Home Alone coming up in the middle of a conversation about the thing?
It did not.
And 2, did you have any idea what the hell Paul was talking about?
Just now? Nope.
I was like,
I blacked out for a minute there, not gonna lie.
I looked up like you were in the actual apartment above me. I'm like, what is he saying?
Well, I was thinking, Kevin, I have no idea what he's talking about right now.
You mean Happy Days?
You haven't heard of Happy Days?
I know what it is, but it doesn't mean I didn't know what he was like.
Oh, okay.
The name.
Well, just as long as far as I don't know what Happy Days is.
I was talking about a Halloween episode of the Happy Days. Yeah. Of Happy Days where they were going to have this dance in this haunted house. And the whole thing about the house, it was haunted because the previous owners had their heads cut off. And they would come out and always demand, like, that was the big scary thing, is the headless corpse would come out and say they want their head back. And it scared the shit out of Richie Cunningham. And he didn't want to go to the dance. And they're like, no, it's not real, blah, blah, blah. So they convinced him to face his fears, basically, and go to this dance. And in the middle of the dance, the music switches off. And this headless corpse comes down the stairs going, I want my head back. And everybody's totally shitting their pants and scared, including Richie. Finally, he unmasked them and it's like, oh, it's just the bullies. There's nothing to be afraid of. And that was it. But that episode wrecked me as a kid because I didn't see the reveal. All I can remember was the headless corpse coming down the steps.
Yeah.
Saying, I want my head back.
I can see that.
You didn't see the end of the episode?
Oh, I saw it, but it didn't. That was.
But like, your memory that part doesn't stick with you, right?
Yeah. I didn't go, oh, it was fake all along. I'm like, oh shit, there. And I'm looking at my stairs, going, those are stairs.
Yeah. No, I totally understand
walk
that.
Down those stairs, and that's all I remembered.
Sometimes logic just doesn't exist, right? Yeah. No, I didn't. I never liked horror stuff or all these horror movies. Like I've seriously, like probably not even 10 years ago. So in the last 5 or so years, I've really watched all these things. Like I grew up in Asia. I was studying all the time. Outside of school, I went to more school. Like, and then I had piano lessons and horseback riding lessons. So yeah, that was my.
No time for movies, Yoko.
Yeah, but no. So like I've like made a point to catch up on some of this stuff over the last 5 or so years, and that's when I kind of finally started giving horror movies, I kind of say it in air quotes, a chance. But I still watch them like during the daytime with the lights on,
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's cool though, because then I feel like I'm going in with a blank slate.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who's watched current horror movies and things like that and going back to see if the classics hold up. I'm watching it, experiencing it for the first time in a way. Horror films.
We're 2 for 2 because like you like Jaws and you like The Thing, so we're serving up.
I watched Jaws young, and that scared me.
Yeah,
I did live on an island at the time. In my defense, so I was actually near the ocean.
It's only an island if you look at it from the ocean, from the water.
Yeah. I had I swear it was like 6th grade. I had a teacher show our class Stephen King's The Cat's Eye movies, like
the anthology.
Yeah, and like that messed me up for a long time. And you know which story it was that scared me the most was the smoker one, where he's trying to quit smoking.
Oh,
and there's just like people watching him, right? Or was it her? I don't even remember. There's one part where the guy's in his closet and he opens the closet door and you see like the coats and you just see feet there. That image has stayed with me.
Have you read the short story Smokers Inc?
No, I haven't.
They're all based on the short stories and they're incredible. I
rewatched them. I finally rewatched them in the last couple of years, and they're great, but at age 11 or so. Yeah, I think that teacher got fired for showing that to our class. Yeah. Yeah.
It's worth it.
That was 6th grade.
Yeah.
It's a different time. Time.
It was.
I told you, our shop teacher ran an electrical current through our class.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a different time. Different times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these kids are soft now.
Yeah.
Well, what should be the movie assignment for next week? Was there anything that came up during this conversation? I don't want to hear Paul or Ernie go like, "I've never seen Home Alone. What the hell were you talking about, Kevin? What furnace?" if that's what's happening, my brain is going to explode. You've seen Home Alone, right?
I love Home Alone.
Oh my god, thank you.
I love Home Alone.
Paul is.
I know Paul is.
I'm kidding. I've seen it every year for how many years? I have to sit there with my kids because they're like, "Can we just skip to the end?" I said, "No. You have to see. The ending is a payoff. You gotta watch the whole build up to the end." And it's just like, for me, it's a toss up. What's funnier, the end of Home Alone or the end of Home Alone 2? And I think for my pound for pound in terms of punishment meted out, Home Alone 2 is actually funnier, the ending, than Home Alone.
Really?
He's whipping bricks from the top of this brownstone.
That
in
is
New
true.
York.
Yeah.
And he keeps
You're right. Yes, I still laugh till this day at that. Yeah,
and
okay,
he's got the
absolutely
dent in his forehead, like the makeup on that. And he sets I've totally seen Home Alone. Well, we've been rewatching what we got my kids into Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That one, have you, Yoko, Kevin?
I feel like I should watch that.
Oh my god. Yoko,
I think you should watch anything.
Yeah, no, I watched it. I watched it in the last couple of years.
Okay.
Look, I don't like a lot of comedies. I'm just gonna say that. The whole
I can tell.
I'm not into slapstick and the hijinks. Like I kind of enjoyed most of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I would have liked it better if a couple of the hijinks were removed. Like when it's like it's just like it starts to frustrate me. I feel like it's happening to me, I think, is my problem. And I'm just like, God, just stop. Like, stop. Stop.
You're so
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You're so
so
invested in the story, you think it's actually happening to you.
I think so, like, or like someone I actually know, or like something, and I'm just like, just stop
Really?
it.
It's just not your persona. It's not you. You like thinky movies better, where you've got to think about it and maybe come up with a second
Sometimes.
storyline?
Right.
Because I know
Well,
you love
Planes and
theories.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a thinking movie.
Yeah,
Because it really is about relationships and how much you'll put up with somebody to be polite, and then how John Candy's character he's like Corona. He just sort of gets on you, and before you know it, like Steve Martin, he's stuck with him, and he feels sort of obligated, and he tries to separate himself, but he ends up always getting back.
Yeah.
And then when you find out at the end, like
the twist, right? Yeah. I think it's the car part. I feel like if I could just skip that last car part.
Oh! That's my favorite.
I liked it. I liked it more than I like most comedies of that era.
God.
But it just went on a little too long for me.
That's how the original movie clocked in at like almost 3 hours.
Oh my God.
And they had to cut a bunch of stuff from it. But that car scene is how I hooked the boys into watching it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
John Candy trying to take his jacket off. And then they go the wrong. I mean, just that part of the movie for me just makes it, like, in terms of just the utter stupidity of how this could possibly happen.
It gets like too stupid for me to handle at a point.
Yeah.
So not Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
John Candy is great, though.
Planes and Trains, great.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Cut out Automobile. All right. I love John Candy stuff. Have you seen Uncle Buck?
I love Uncle Buck. I do love Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck is great. Kevin?
I don't know who Uncle Buck is.
Okay, but you can talk about Home Alone, but you've never seen Uncle Buck?
Uncle Buck is great. That's
how he got the part. That's how he got the part.
That's like when I watched in the last 5 years or so too, and I do feel like that one's under the radar. Uncle Buck.
That's a good one.
Great. Yeah,
Uncle Buck is great.
Macaulay Culkin's in it.
Yes,
his first role. Yeah.
That was his first role, and then they went on.
He's adorable in it. Yeah.
John Candy's fantastic in it too.
He is.
Are you married? How are you related to me? Do you work? Do you? He goes through 20 questions with them, man, and he nails it. This little kid, as if he was a seasoned actor, and John Candy just, oh my God, that's one that affects me that we lost. Like to think of more that we could have had from John Candy because of his stuff. The Great Outdoors.
See, that one I did not like. That one I did not like.
You didn't like Great Outdoors? No,
I couldn't.
Yeah, see, John Candy. I love John.
Kevin
Candy,
would probably like that one better because I don't like it.
I don't know. I mean, we talked about
for the reasons I don't like it. You would probably like it.
We talked about Alien, to see if you guys wanted that. But then now we brought up some of these other comedy classics that hold up. What about Goonies? Have you guys ever seen Goonies?
I think I watched it once a long time ago.
Oh my God.
I feel like if you have to say you think, it doesn't count.
Oh my God. Fucking dumbass.
That one surprises me.
Yeah, see?
Is there a ship involved?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Just once?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
With young
Goonies is one that, like, at least probably 3 times a year I still gotta throw it on and watch it. Like, these are staples that you grow up with of after you watch it, like, you can even I have a whole part 2 in my head already. Like, go ahead and call me when you're ready, because I have that written out of what happens, and they're adults, and
you've seen the Raiders of the Lost Ark trilogy, quadrilogy. You've seen all those.
Yeah.
I just watched those in the last year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had never watched any of the Indiana Jones until the last 2 years.
This is starting to prove to be not great if Yoko's seen like 5,000 movies in the last 2 years. Everything's like...
I finally had time. I finally had time being at home. And
what did you think
half my
then?
life. Huh?
What did you think of Indiana Jones? Because that's a lot of hype. That's a huge...
I enjoyed. There was no Boba Fetting of Indiana Jones.
Okay, but my favorite theory that I still live off of, though, is Indiana Jones is just Han Solo dreaming in carbonite. And there's
I-
yes, I've always ran with
I
that.
like
There's
a good,
little
I like a
things.
good theory. I like a good
Okay,
theory.
so in Raiders of the Lost Ark, when he's pulling the Ark in the
Yeah.
the hieroglyphics, how do you
Yeah.
say that? There's a C-3PO and an R2-D2. The beginning of Temple of Doom, the club that the movie opens up at is called Club Obi-Wan.
Oh.
Yes, so it really
like it.
is. Yeah, I've always ran with that, like
I like
so
it.
much as far as
I will subscribe.
Indiana Jones is just Han Solo's dreams in carbonite.
Yeah.
Plain
I
and
like it.
simple.
I'm into it.
It's cool. Like one of the things that I like now about like because it used to be, I called it like a geek tax because it was like I just have to. I get the VHS version, then the DVD version, then the Blu-ray version, now the 4K version. And so I stopped doing that now because it's just like how many different versions. Like it's got to be a movie that I love, which is awesome.
Uh-huh.
And now with 4K, just because the transfers and the quality to the naked eye, it's not going to get any better. They can go 8K or this or that, but it's not going to get any better to the naked eye. So it's not going to matter. So I think 4K is fine. But what I'm finding is with the streaming, even with all the different streaming versions, there are movies you can't get that are on any streaming platform. Like the other day, I was looking for the movie. It was an old war movie with Danny Glover and Gene Hackman, Bat 21. And for whatever reason, I was thinking about that movie. It's like, oh, I have that movie at home. It's like, oh, I kind of feel like watching it now because I haven't seen it in like 10 years. And then I'm looking on all the stream platforms. None of them carry it. Some of the older titles, they don't carry. But I know I have them at home. And that's the other thing about having physical media is I buy the disc or the movie because I like it on one level. And I'd like it enough that I have to own it. And so that's the thing. So if it's not on a streaming platform, I can't share it with people. I can't go, oh, you got to check out this movie, right? Like,
correct.
You know, it's boss. It's like before Battle Royale is out now, but it wasn't before. And so if I wanted somebody to watch it, I'd say, hey, you know, I've got this copy of Battle Royale. You got to check this movie out. It's messed up. It's awesome. And so that's the cool thing about physical discs. But you don't have to have all of them anymore. Like now it's just for me, I've jumped up now to just like stupidly to premium versions, which is basically it's like a good transfer of it, but I'm just buying the packaging, which I think is really pretty, right? So it'll be like the Manta Lab, fucking 3 different versions of the steelbook cover. It's the same fucking movie in all of them. Yeah. I like the cover art, and it's on a steelbook, and so I'll pay $400 for the same movie 3 times because I like the covers and because they're numbered and it's a limited edition, right? So it retains its value. And if I ever want to flip it, there are people out there who will, you know, go, I got this 4-disc version of American Werewolf in London that was limited to 3,000 pressings, but only in Germany. And so it came with, you know, the steelbook, poster cards that were the one sheets in the movie theaters, like a behind the scenes booklet, all in German and stuff. But I got it and I was like $350. So it's stupid things, but I have the movie, right? So I'm not just getting it for the movie. I'm getting the extra sort of, because I love the movie so much. I want to see all that stuff. So yeah, it's, I hear you on that one front, but don't lament it too much just because, you know, if you can, once they perfect streaming services, I think physical media is already kind of on its way out in Canada for sure. Like you look at Best Buy, they're getting rid of all of their physical media things now.
Yeah,
right?
it's very low here too. The only difference is you're telling Kevin to watch Alien on Disney Plus in 4K, and we don't have that yet. They literally just started a couple of days ago, the MA, only because they brought Netflix over.
I see.
The Marvel shows.
The Marvel shows, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
and
it's probably on Hulu over here, though. Like a lot of that stuff, they just put on Hulu here instead, where internationally it's all on Disney Plus.
Right.
But do you ever turn on the TV to play movie in the background, like a TV that's a movie that's on a station that's on?
Well, I don't have cable. I rely on streaming services, but like if I do that, if I put on something on the background, it's going to be like a Disney movie or something that I've seen a million times.
It's funny because my friend Jason, who I guess is more closer to your guys' age range, or Ernie and Paul, he'll message me all the time and be like, guess what? Attack of the Clones is on Showcase. This is the scene. I go, Jason, I have this on streaming. You do too. We've seen this. And he'll always message me when a Star Wars movie is on. And
You have it on.
I'm like, I can just start it whenever I want. I don't need to go to the channel right
No.
now. He'll always do it, and he'll tell me. And he knows I've said it to him, Jason, look. And even then, he'll still message me and be like, oh my God, the scene is amazing.
I love
I know
that, though.
I have Disney Plus, but he'll still message me. There's something about having it on TV. I only have cable and some channels because it's part of a bundle, but I've never scrolled through and be like, oh, this movie is on. Well, not never. In recent times, scrolled through. I'll look through streaming and see like what show can I play and start from. So I think the whole dynamic of like, hey, this guy's watching movies on his phone, and we'll turn on the TV and put on this movie. And like, you've seen these films from this era, and you've seen these. Like, I love that. I love that. There's the differences between. It's almost this half. It's like two teams.
The junior half by age, not by status, Ernie. Yeah, the junior.
Okay, thank you for
just to be clear.
Reporting that. Not the rookie over here.
I do miss having cable. I guess really like the last 3 months of the year, like to put on a random scary movie in October, and then all the Christmas movies, especially Hallmark Channel during the holiday season.
Okay, Kevin, wrap it up. Kevin,
I know,
come
sorry,
on.
Kev, sorry, we keep
wrap it up.
You got to stop us.
Oh, I just edited it in post.
Yeah, but it's so much for you. Come on, we know we got to go. You get all four of us together, and geez. They're trying to close the restaurant. They're wiping tables. They're flipping chairs
coming
on the table.
The lights are on in the club. It's the music's slow now. The guy's sweeping the floor.
Paul and I are still ordering more
One
drinks.
drink. Yeah.
You don't gotta go home. You don't gotta go home. You gotta get the hell out of here.
Yep. That's how I always used to close all my DJing.
Absolutely. It's
all the
best,
time.
most
That was it.
line.
Thanks everybody for being here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Thanks, guys. Drive safe.
That should be our outro from now on, to wrap up each episode. So for the next episode, the homework assignment, I guess I will watch Alien. Is there anyone out there listening who hasn't seen this? Because I feel like everyone's going to tune in just to laugh at me. But that's okay, because that's the whole fun of all this. Kenobi news was great. Did we finish up everything with Star Wars?
No, we were so off the rails on this episode too. It was just all of us chilling. We missed each other for 2 weeks, and here we were.
How do we want to end this? Does somebody want to say thank you for listening?
Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving comments and movie suggestions. I just did it.
Okay, do it again.
Remember to like and subscribe and leave comments and whatever is appropriate to do on whatever platform you're listening or watching this on, because we're on several. So rules may not apply, but do what applies. And thank you. How was that?
What the hell was that?